next panelist, who is Srinivasan Vijayaraghavan, and he's a doctorate from IIT Madras in 1982, and he joined in DRDO, Minister of Defense, in 1979 to 2006. And he was the CEO at SITAR, that is again a Department of Defense, from 2002 to 2006. And he was also a member governing council in Reserve Bank of India from 1996 to 2005. He was being like an advisor as an additional secretary equivalent to the Prime Minister office from 2006 to 2013 in techno managerial and national security management. So we have a right speaker, and he was in various initiation of various assignments. Especially he was working in the specific areas we see: technology management, national security management, information assurance, IT, cyber security, and semiconductor manufacturing and research and development. We are honored to your presence in the panel, sir. I think the House of Kalam and Abdul Kalam International Foundation invites you for this India Beyond 2020, the challenges and opportunity. It's over to you, sir. Please proceed and go ahead. Yes, sir. You can talk. I think we are muted.
You are able to hear me?
Yes, sir. We can able to hear.
Okay. Thank you for that introduction, and good afternoon to all of you. And I should really thank you for inviting me to this webinar on Vision 2020 and beyond. Actually, I read it as India Beyond 2020 after COVID-19 challenges and opportunities. So my line of thought and the line of presentation will be on those lines. Certainly, it's a very thoughtful of the organizers to have selected such a topic. According to me, Vision 2020 is not only a perfect vision by medical standards, but also a perfect path to develop India through the technology route. And both Dr. Rajan and Dr. Pillai have elaborated on Vision 2020 documents, and therefore, it is like, if I indulge in that, it is like taking a small candle before the sun. So therefore, I will be very specific to what I want to convey, that is on the area of cybersecurity. So therefore, I will restrict to the topic of cybersecurity in the context of the seminar. So with the entire globe facing unprecedented challenge due to the pandemic, should this situation be converted to an opportunity to propel the country towards such a developed India, in my opinion, is a right question to ask at this time. I'm sure the array of eminent speakers assembled by the organizers in this webinar would provide all ingredients for bringing about this conversion of challenge into opportunity. Being organized by the House of Kalams, I wish to start by reminiscing briefly on initiatives of Kalam, which I feel is very apt to put my thought in the right perspective. By the year 2000, two national documents were rolled out for implementation. The first one to hit the deck was Technology Vision 2020, and Mr. Rajan is there, in August 1996 by TIFAC with 10 different panels, bringing out technology status, forecast, and assessment for the next 20 years and beyond. Dr. Kalam, then Chairman TIFAC, together with Sri Y.S. Rajan, its Executive Director, and several other eminent technologists, industrialists, and academicians were instrumental in bringing out this document. This document laid down the roadmap to economic growth and wealth creation through integrating national resources. Simultaneously, the then Defense Minister, Mr. George Fernandez, on the advice of Dr. Kalam, who was then the scientific advisor to the Defense Minister, constituted a national team from industry, national research laboratories, and academia to strategize national security from the prism of technology and work out a plan for implementation by the year 2020. This pan-India team, under the leadership of Sri R. Gopalaswamy, former CMD of Bharat Dynamics Limited, and with me as its member secretary, brought out for the first time a document, Integrated Strategies, Technologies, and Missions for comprehensive national security. The word to be underlined is comprehensive. In August 1998, the concept of national security elaborated in this document resulted in the birth of India's National Security Council in November 1998, headed by the Prime Minister, with ministers of Home, Defense, Finance, and External Affairs as members, and with National Security Advisor as secretary. This document laid down the map for wealth protection strategies through the instrument of technology, integrating again the national strength scattered across India's numerous institutions in both government and private sector, as well as in academia. Thus, these two documents, which Dr. Kalam was instrumental in creating, lays down the path for developed India, where wealth is not only created, but also produced in equal measure, integrating national resources and using the instrument of technology. Technology was chosen because it has dual use. This tool has the ability to create wealth and alleviate pain of the people, while at the same time protect such hard-earned wealth. When Dr. Kalam was made the principal scientific advisor to the Government of India, and when both me and Sri Rajan moved almost together to the office of PSA in the first quarter of Y2K, one of the earliest tasks was to integrate these two documents. Indeed, we did, and out came India Millennium Missions 2020, or IMM 2020, for developed India, that while creating wealth can protect it as well in equal measure. Either you call it Yogakshemam as in Bhagavad Gita, or Ningada Selvam as mentioned in Andal's Tirupavai, India's Millennium Mission 2020 is a technology equivalent for these two immortal words. The original IMM 2020 was a massive program with multiple missions, and within each of which there were multiple projects. Also, different programs had different departments that would pilot them. The common thread that runs across the entire IMM 2020 is wealth generation together with wealth protection. The scale, breadth, and scope of IMM 2020 was such that bureaucracy of that time had difficulty in understanding its basic structure, and in respect of few of those who understood, they were not keen to enter uncharted territory. Status quo was, is, and would be the hallmark of our bureaucracy. As per the administrative structure, all initiatives of the Office of PSA are to be routed through the Department of Science and Technology for allocations from the Consolidated Fund, and IMM 2020 had to follow this route. But in the case of IMM 2020, it met additionally with the resistance of the then S&T minister. Finally, a truncated IMM 2020 with 6 missions were approved as a pilot scheme in the financial year 2000-2001 to be implemented by TIFAC. One of these 6 missions under IMM 2020 is Mission Reach. The objective of this mission is to orient higher technical education to be relevant to industry, with industry in the driver's seat, while government providing total support to facilitate such a structure. As with every other IMM 2020 missions, here again, technologies for wealth creation and protection continue to drive identification of subjects by industries and academia together, where centers of relevance and excellence core would be established in higher technical education institutions across the country, with industry, government, and the host institutional support. As Sri Rajan pointed out correctly, R comes before E, the relevance coming before E. That was the USP of the mission. It is relevant to mention here 2 subject areas of advanced computing and information processing and cybersecurity, where TIFAC course COREs were established in Sastra and Amrita universities respectively. A supercomputer with a peak performance of 16 gigaflops per second was set up at Sastra University in Tanjavur, a facility only a couple of academic institutions like IISc was boasting of at that time. I'm talking of the year 2000. Any supercomputing technology is useful to applications such as weather forecasting, aerospace design, drug design, and so forth, in the service of wealth creation and removing people's pain. Sun Microsystem, ECIL, and Semiconductor Complex were industries that supported this core. Another core in cybersecurity was set up at Amrita University campus in Coimbatore with the support of industries such as HP India. The mandate of this center is to comprehensively address various aspects of cybersecurity, both from the perspective of a defender as well as an attacker. Several unique tools, platforms, and systems were acquired for carrying out both research and teaching activities, which attracted talented and enthusiastic faculty and students alike to this center. The Wuhan virus, named COVID-19, has been declared as pandemic by WHO. The impact of this small organism in every sphere of human activity, be it social, financial, or business, is to say the least unprecedented. Beginning with lifestyle changes, financial losses due to prolonged closure of business activities, and the manner in which business has started functioning all point towards a new environment in the coming days. These changes throw off both challenges and opportunities. Way back in 1998, Dr. Kalam converted the huge challenge imposed on India by technology sanctions and control regimes into opportunities to make huge inroads into areas such as parallel computations, carbon-carbon composites, semiconductor chip fabrication, etc. Taking cue from Dr. Kalam, the current challenges also await conversion into opportunities by us. Let us briefly look at some of the challenges directly attributable to COVID-19. Let us begin with social changes, which have caused huge surge in online activities. With lockdown being enforced, e-commerce has grown leaps and bounds, and so are banking, entertainment, education, learning, religious and other activities, all of which have pushed up bandwidth by leaps and bounds. Social media like Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, Instagram, TikTok, and so forth are the main channel of communication in the absence of print media and opinionated visual media. Even the mom and pop stores have started using social network mediums such as WhatsApp to take orders. The business, due to closure, have switched over to work from home. All meetings, conferences, and even today's webinar, etc., both in government and outside, have switched over to the virtual mode. Instances of rampant use of telemedicine in healthcare sector have become routine, which further pushes bandwidth needs along with storage space. The common thread that runs across all these instances mentioned here is unprecedented surge in bandwidth and huge increase in risk due to cybersecurity challenges. Challenges such as phishing through social engineering methods, personal information leakage to cyber criminals, potential delays in cyber attack detection and response due to bandwidth choking, new malwares unheard of before, such as XSS, that is delivered under the garb of digital coronavirus infection kit, using Johns Hopkins Center's legitimate interactive map, emergence of infodemics, where pages and posts claiming to have found medical solutions are those capable of creating mass hysteria among public and causing panic as well as disturbing religious harmony or racism, misinformation, and so forth, are challenges that were not witnessed in such a magnitude as we see now during the pandemic. As though these are not enough, We have additionally cyber attacks in the form of bombing during conference calls, targeting of individuals or children through an unauthorized entry in online activities for extortion have picked up momentum since the beginning of February this year. Further, making full use of choking of bandwidth due to surge in online activities, criminals have increased bank heists, leaps and bounds, the latest being swindling of money to the tune of $400 million, that's about 3,000 crores, from a Norwegian bank just yesterday. These are severely, there are several publicly unreported instances of such cyber attacks in the BFSI sector, that is banking, financial services and insurance sector. Indian health sector is waiting on the wings to get attacked by cyber criminals who can leak out medical data to both state and non-state actors and including drug companies. While these challenges are tall and formidable, they can be converted to opportunities, as Dr. Kalam showed us way back in 1998, post-sanctions and embargoes. This is the time for India to display leadership position in cybersecurity, which is huge software power and young demography. People familiar with cybersecurity would know that best innovative minds in cybersecurity are to be found in our middle and high schools, and several times with children having no formal education. Several innovative products and services in the area of cybersecurity can be rolled out during this time. Likewise, it is a time for corporates to tweak their business continuity plans and bring out a revised risk assessment and management of critical processes, factoring pandemics and consequent disruption of critical elements of supply chain. In addition, both corporates and central critical information infrastructure asset holders should revisit their cybersecurity posture and consider outsourcing of non-critical business functions such as cybersecurity operations. In April 2020, that's about last month, PwC was engaged by Data Security Council of India under NASSCOM and MeitY, the Ministry of Information Technology, together to study post-COVID business as well as market in India for cybersecurity. As per their finding, the market would leap up to US $3.02 billion by 2022 from the present US $1.98 billion with a compounded annual growth rate of 15%. That's huge. This is a huge silver lining amidst gloom all over. Government and BFSI would be the top sectors for expenditure in cybersecurity. Within cybersecurity, it would be the data protection, contributing roughly 22.2%, and endpoint security, contributing 19.1%, that would dominate the product and service segment within the vertical. When looked through the prism of global regulatory measures such as GDPR, HIPAA, HITRUST, etc., and Indian data protection laws being expedited, cybersecurity products and services is capable of supporting Indian economic recovery. I cannot resist coming back to refer Kalam while concluding my presentation. Thus, cybersecurity technology, while known for providing a protective layer to our wealth generation IT infrastructure, the technology by itself is a big wealth creator. This aspect of wealth creation and protection through cybersecurity was well brought out, both in quantitative and qualitative terms, in the Planning Commission document, India as Knowledge Superpower, Strategy for Transformation, which is a report brought out by the National Task Force constituted by PM with Dr. Kalam as co-chairman and with top scientific and educational administrators, industrialists like Sri Narayan Murthy, educators like Professor Balakrishnan of Indian Institute of Science, Dr. Vidyasagar of TCS, and myself from DRDO as members. This report recognized the concept of knowledge society and recommended various aspects of knowledge creation and its protection while rolling out a grand framework for knowledge management that includes societal transformation wealth generation, and knowledge and resources protection as its three pillars. The program Pura, providing urban amenities in rural areas through what is called PEAK. It's an acronym for Physical, Electronic, Economic, and Knowledge Connectivities, was brought out in the document by late Professor Indiresan, former director of IIT Madras. Such micro-clusters based economic development in post-COVID times with return of migrant laborers is already being pursued by some states. That includes Madhya Pradesh and Bihar. I hope visionary initiatives of Dr. Kalam for an integrated approach to India's development through combining wealth creation and wealth protection would continue to be our beacon in this hour of crisis. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my views with you.